This man right here, Stephan Sterns, pled no contest and guilty to the homicide and the 60 plus counts of other charges that he had. In the case of Madeline Soto, he pled no contest to the death of Madeline Soto, which is not saying that he is guilty. In fact, it's saying that you recognize that the prosecution has enough to charge you. But it is not a direct admission of guilt. However, in order for them to take capital punishment off of the table, he did plead guilty to the 60 plus charges that are connected to the case spanning back years, meaning that he had been harming Madeline Soto for years and he pled guilty to that. But I don't believe that he should have been given a plea deal to take that off of the table. His interests shouldn't have come first and foremost before the memory of a 13-year-old child who deserves to still be here today, right now. And is not because of him. Not only was I disgusted and disappointed in his little statement that he gave, I was also very extremely disappointed. But I didn't expect any better out of Jennifer Soto, Madeline's mother. Of all the people there speaking today, giving their victim impact statements about Madeline Soto, I noticed her mother wasn't there. This is Stephan Sterns today, after taking the plea, which if you commit homicide or SA and you're guilty, wood chipper. That's where you belong. Maybe these crimes would lessen in America if we actually did something about enforcement instead of giving them good plea deals. That's not in the name of justice. That's in the name of whose attorney can do what with what, or who has the money to get a better defense attorney. This is compromising and negotiation. There was no compromise or negotiation when Madeline Soto at 13 did not choose to have what happened to her happen to her. There was no compromise or negotiations when her life was stripped and taken from her. This person's best interest no longer matter. He forfeited that right. But I noticed out of everybody that spoke today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Madeline's father and his wife, 6 and 7, 8. Am I missing something? None of these people are Jennifer Soto, her mother. This is Jennifer Soto, Madeline's mother. She is also the ex-girlfriend of Stephan Sterns. They allegedly were on and off for more than 7 years. Although I've looked into this and I haven't gotten a concrete answer on exactly when they met and started dating. Now, it is alleged that they had met in 2016 and didn't officially start dating until 2018. However, I have not seen anything 100% verify or corroborate that fact. Not even her 3+ hour long interrogation. Now, it said that her mother was given some kind of partial immunity, but really she didn't give the law enforcement officials anything in that interrogation to warrant them giving her any kind of immunity. The fact that she had to track her daughter's periods, the fact that she had 2 pregnancy tests under the sink, the fact that she had a rule of nobody sleeping together, but then does just exactly that. Sends her 13-year-old to go sleep in the same room and only bed with her ex-boyfriend. I don't care who you are effed up in the brain if you do something like that. That's when you need to stop and reevaluate your life. It doesn't matter if it is a blood relative or not. You don't ever go send your little girl to go sleep with a man overnight and then just let them go drive them to school the next, like, no. So are we ever going to learn the truth? Is he ever going to have to be held accountable and have to sit there and say that, yes, he did do this. Yes, he caused this. and actually give a truthful, honest account of what happened and why. And this is one day after her 13th birthday. Not only does the light look like it's completely gone from this little girl's eyes, how dare her mother? How dare her mother fail to protect her? Now, I could say the same thing for everybody in her life that had suspicions and failed to do anything. That's actually a crime, because when you have suspicions, you have a due diligence, you have an obligation to report any kind of abuse or neglect, no matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you see somebody at the gas station do something to one of their children. You have an obligation to call and report it. That is universal everywhere in the United States. Failure to do so is in and of itself neglect. I have to know what everybody thinks about this, because even though this bombshell plea deal came out of nowhere, I really don't think that people who commit homicide or SA should be getting plea deals, because it's really stripping away true justice, and it's putting their interests in favor of the victims' families, the victims' rights, and true justice. But that's just my opinion. Maybe we can actually prevent heinous crimes like those two from happening, prevent more crimes like this from occurring, and deter people from committing these kinds of crimes if we enforced better. But that's just my own opinion. A lot of other stuff is petty, but those two, nope. That's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it, and it's going to stay that way. And no, we're not going to get into semantics and say, well, what about the people that are innocent? I'm not talking about people that are innocent. I'm talking about people that truly do homicide and SA. Wood chipper. Put them all in the wood chipper. So it was said that they were going to break these down into two different cases, two different trials. One for the homicide, one for the other 60 counts of you-know-what. Because he thought he was slick and that he reset his phone, but they were able to retrieve everything on it. And what they found went back years. But what I want to know is, why didn't her mother speak for her? She's a coward. She's a coward. She didn't even show up for her daughter during her life, and she couldn't even show up for her at today's plea hearing and speak. I don't care how ashamed and embarrassed you are. I don't care what the world's going to think of you. She should have done at least that. And correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't see her out of all the people that spoke. Her own mother, the world, content creators, people in true crime, anti-crime, crime prevention, people that are in education, attention, advocacy, awareness. As far as social media, journalism, media, mainstream media, those people cared more about Madeline Soto, who they never met, than her own biological mother. And that's a fact that's not only heart-wrenching and heartbreaking to me, but if that was happening to Madeline Soto, right underneath her mother's nose, and she had absolute no idea, I don't believe it. I refuse to believe it. It goes against every single innate cell in my body as a mother of 5 myself, who carried and birthed each one of my own children, to not have that instinct, to not have that intuition, or to completely just ignore it. I don't believe either of those things. I believe she knew and she just didn't care, because either he was a convenience or he was providing something to her that was overriding that motherly instinct and that bond that she should have with her daughter. Like, he must have been some kind of convenience to her for her to just turn the cheek the other way, turn a blind eye. It doesn't make sense to me, and it's never made sense to me at all. And I believe that she should have been more forthright. She should have been there today speaking on behalf of her daughter, for her memory, for her legacy, for the heinous thing that happened to her and the way that she passed. But I'm also of the opinion that she should be charged with neglect. But that's my own opinion. Let me know yours down below.